We will now reconvene the January 14, 2019 City Council meeting. Let the record reflect that all council members are in attendance. For those of you joining us at this time, the invocation and pledge of allegiance were conducted earlier during the outgoing mayor ceremony for former Mayor Ray Dunn. Moving on to City Council announcements. Let me start. As new businesses open in downtown, the need for more parking is increasing. The city has been exploring ways to improve the downtown parking experience and has permitted a public valet service in the city parking lot located east of Bellflower Boulevard between Oak Street and Belmont Street. Valet service began this last Friday, January 11th, and it will be available on Friday and Saturday evenings from 4 p.m. to 12 a.m. For more information, please call 562-804-1424, extension 2010. Mayor Pro Tem Juan Garza.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to take a moment and remind the community that Bravo sponsorship opportunities are still available for the upcoming 25th Annual Bravo Awards. This is the perfect opportunity to acknowledge the heroic efforts of Bellflower public safety officers, sheriff's deputies, fire department personnel, emergency rescue workers, and local community heroes. Becoming a sponsor of this time-honored event will allow you and your business to salute the true heroes of our community, as well as receive extensive positive publicity for your commitment to community safety. The prestigious awards will be presented on Thursday, February 7, 2019 at 11 a.m. here at the William and Jane Bristol Civic Auditorium inside Bellflower City Hall. A luncheon will immediately follow the ceremony. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Garza. Councilmember Dan Coops.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is something close to your heart because I know you serve on the vector control. So if I say something erroneous here, you correct me, okay?
That's right.
Because you're our guy. All right. Rain barrels are great at capturing rainwater. However, if not maintained properly, your water conservation efforts can come back to bite you. One of the most common problems with rain barrels is mosquito breeding. Thousands of mosquitoes can emerge from standing water in a rain barrel every week. Here are a few tips to help keep those pesky varmints at bay. Disease-transmitting insects should be out of your rain barrel. Cover the barrel and all openings. Empty the barrels regularly. Keep the top clear of standing water. After this week of rain, to make sure that you're clear out any standing water from the barrels. Would you agree with that, Mr.?
Yep.
All right, so there's our tip on keeping mosquitoes at bay. Thank you, Mr.
Very
Mayor.
good. Thank you, Mr. Coops. Councilmember Raymond Hamada.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. First off, it says Ray here, so that gets really confusing. I'm sorry. Thank you. Okay, if you are interested in receiving the Bellflower e-Citizen newsletter, you can sign up on our website. This newsletter includes grand openings, special events, community news, and then also health and safety information. To subscribe, visit our website at www.bellflower.org and scroll to the bottom of the homepage and click on the e-Citizen newsletter block. Enter your email address and then click submit. You will receive the newsletter on a monthly basis. If you have any questions or need assistance, please call 562-804-1424 and that'll be at extension 2010. Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thanks, Raymond. Councilmember Ray Dutton.
Thank you, Mayor. A friendly reminder to all, the construction for the Bellflower Boulevard widening project has begun in early January. This includes the addition of a traffic lane in each direction to lengthen the northbound lanes onto the 91 freeway. The project zone extends from Beach Street South to Artesia Boulevard. During the construction, the traffic lanes will be minimized to one lane in each direction. It is recommended that drivers avoid this area due to heavy traffic congestion. Drivers are encouraged to use the Lakewood Boulevard and Clark Avenue off-ramps for access to the 91 freeway. As an alternative route, the project is scheduled for completion by the end of May. Everybody knows that that area is nonsense to get through there now, and we haven't even started the construction to one extent. It's going to get worse before it gets better, but it'll be worth it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. I just want to let those people who are watching TV or cable that before this meeting, we had our outgoing mayor ceremony where we honored outgoing Mayor Ray Dunn, so for his wonderful job last year. So thank you, Ray.
Thank you.
Mr. Stewart, public comments.
This is the time set aside for the public to address the city council on matters not listed on the agenda. Anyone wishing to address the city council should come to the podium, be recognized by the mayor, and state your name for the record. If you wish to address the city council on an agenda item, you may do so by approaching the podium as we review that particular item. You'll be given a reasonable amount of time to address the city council.
Does anyone would like to speak about a non-agenda item? Please come forward. Please sign in and state your name for the record.
I've already signed in.
Okay,
Thank
good.
you for this opportunity. My name is Basil Hewitt. Can you hear me?
Is the microphone on?
Okay. My name
It's
is
on.
Basil Hewitt. I'm a civil engineer with Los Angeles County Sanitation Districts. I'm here on behalf of about 1,000 sanitation districts workers. We're asking for your support. You're well aware of our agency. We're the agency that treats sewage for 5.6 million people in LA County every day. Our sanitation workers take 400 million gallons of sewage in 12 hours, convert that into recycled water, which is near drinking water quality. We've won numerous awards for this service. Our rates are the lowest in the country. A home in the city of Bellflower pays about $200 a year for sewage service. That same home in the city of Los Angeles pays $400 a year. That same exact home in Orange County pays $500 a year. And we're at a crossroad as the sanitation district because of labor impasse. Staff is demoralized because of a salary reduction that's being hoisted on them, and we need your support. Salary is unionized. We haven't done this in 40 years. They've taken numerous, staff is unionized and they haven't done this in 40 years. They've taken a number of poll of staff and they're willing to take labor action up to a strike. And this is just so ridiculous for a few cents per month per single family home when we have a AAA bond rating for our agency. And we're really proud of the work we do. We're having a hard time recruiting engineers, chemists, accountants, and when we do get them, they're leaving for other agencies. So I'm asking for your support, either in a support letter or exert influence as a board member of Sanitation District number 2, 3, or 18. Because this is just ridiculous for a few cents per month not to preserve this great quality of service. And thank you for this opportunity. As an engineer, I don't relish coming up here, but my coworkers asked me to be here tonight.
All right, thank you, Mr. Hewitt.
Mr. Mayor, I have a question.
Yes, Mr. Goops.
Do you have a fact-finding information item that you'd like to provide us, or not necessarily?
Yeah, I have a couple of items.
Would you leave with the city clerk, please?
Yes, I will do that. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I'd be interested in seeing those as well. Thank you.
Is anyone else? Mr. Larson.
Let me sign in. Just a really quick question, and because I haven't heard anything for a while, but probably Jeff, perhaps you could, where are we at on the bids? Are we still moving forward with that? And
I'll get you a timeline. I'll Jim Dellong will reach out tomorrow, give you a timeline on the bid.
thank you,
Yeah,
sir.
yeah.
Can you refer to what bids, so at least people know what bids?
I'm sorry, the staff and the council have been looking into the formation of a business improvement district along Bellflower Boulevard.
Okay,
And we've looked at several different options, and we'll get back soon on that.
okay, very good. Thank you. All right, anyone else?
My name is Peter Incorn, and in the past, we have used the public community room for Miriam McGregor Center to have mock interviews for Miss Bellflower girls and judges. Is that still available to us? Because we seem to be getting closed doors all the time when we inquire for.
Well, I haven't heard otherwise, so I guess you can, not available anymore?
It's still open.
Oh, it's still open, so,
Okay, I would just want to bring it to your attention because we've tried and tried and tried, and I didn't know if the policy changed or new owners and we're closed off to it or not.
No.
Okay.
As far as we know, it hasn't changed yet, so
Okay.
it's still on.
Does
Call me
ownership
if-
change the availability of that room to community people?
I don't know. Just call me and tomorrow if you get any pushback, call me and we'll get it straightened out.
Thank you, sir.
Ownership may change, but it's still, that's part of the provision in terms of the agreement, so I don't think that will change.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, City Council.
Good evening, Robin.
City staff. My name is Robin Snow, and just a real quick reminder, even though Velma passed away last year, they are having a service of a remembrance, a celebration of her life on Saturday, January the 19th at 9627 Glandon Street in Bellflower from 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock, and I've been told that Elvis will be in the house.
And so is his fans. All right. There being none, we move to the next item. We have one public hearing for tonight, item 8A. Mr. Stewart.
This is consideration of possible action to conduct a public hearing to consider zoning ordinance text amendment case number Zona 18-05 and read by title only, waive further notice, and introduce ordinance number 1369, an ordinance adding a new chapter 17.106 specific plans to the Bellflower Municipal Code and amending the Bellflower Municipal Code to change the term from precise plan to site design review. And I have Rowena and Beth here to make the presentation.
Okay. Who's going to make the presentation? Mrs. Concepcion.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council. A little background on this project, November 19, 2018, the Planning Commission considered and recommended approval of the proposed code amendment. In a nutshell, this would update the BMC by adding a specific plan chapter, which is per the state code or state law. And also it will update the BMC to change the term precise plan, the antiquated term precise plan, to site design review. The proposed changes would be addition of chapter 17.106 for the specific plan, and above is showing the chapters, the subsections of breakdown of the specific plan that's being proposed, or the provisions pertaining to specific plan. As far as the site plan review, several sections in our code currently use the term precise plan, and that would be found in R2 zone, R3 zones, in our RPD, as well as our plan development overlay district. Those terms would be then replaced. The recommendation would be to open the public hearing, take testimonial and documentary evidence, and after considering the evidence, read by title only, waive further reading, and introduce ordinance number 1369, or alternatively discuss and take other action related to this item. This concludes staff's presentation unless there are any questions.
Wow, with so much work you did, that this presentation was very short. So anyway, I just want to make a couple of comments. I'm just impressed with staff because for many years, we're able to put together specific plans, and yet there were no guidelines for specific plans, right? But yet we were able to kind of put them together.
We would revert back to the state law.
Back then.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any question for staff?
No.
Okay.
I move we open the public hearing if there's no more questions.
Second.
Motion by Council Member Dunn, second by Mayor Pro Tem Garza to open the public hearing. Without objection, that will be the order.
I have a question. Government.
Good
code.
evening, Peter.
Hello, Peter. I have a question. Government code. Can we limit, I know it's the state law now, that they're allowed to go events to bidding. Can we make it the code as far as they can only vent maybe on the Laundry Boulevard, but not Bellflower Boulevard? Restrict where they can be sidewalk vending?
Wait a minute. This is for a specific plan. So that will be the next item, that's
Yeah.
9A.
Okay, I'll come back, thanks.
All right,
Sorry about that.
no problem.
Not seeing anybody, Mayor. Move we close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Dunnans, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Garza to close the public hearing. Without objection, that will be the order. Gentlemen, any other comments?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Ms. Armada.
Well, I just wanted to mention that I served on the Planning Commission when we made the recommendation, and I did recognize that this was merely housekeeping of sorts, and this was modernizing the ordinance. So I think it's a great work again, staff. I want to say it again. And it was, again, very straightforward.
Okay,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
all right. With that, call the roll, please.
Call the roll. I'd like to make a motion to take
I'm
care
so
of
fast.
take care of text amendment case ZOTA 18-05 and waive further reading and introduce ordinance number 1369.
second that.
Oh,
Motion by Councilmember Dunn, seconded by Councilmember Raymond Hamada.
all right. I'm going to shake it one of these days, but that's okay.
Okay, to introduce ordinance 1369. Roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Garza,
Aye.
Councilmember Dutton,
Aye.
Councilmember Amata,
Aye.
Councilmember Coops,
Aye.
Mayor Santenaz.
Aye. Next item, ordinances and resolutions. Item 9A. Mr. Stewart.
This is consideration of possible action to read by title only and waive further reading, introduce ordinance number 1368, an ordinance amending sections 5.28 and 17.64 of the Bellflower Municipal Code regulating sidewalk bending in accordance with Government Code Section 51306. We have our Assistant City Attorney, Natalie Karplis, here to make a presentation for you.
Okay, Natalie, it's your turn.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and City Council. I am presenting item 9A. So Chapter 5.28 of the Bellflower Municipal Code generally prohibits vending on public property without a permit or approval from the city manager. So with that said, the Bellflower Municipal Code does allow for to sell printed materials, to vend during special events, to sell food or merchandise within the town center plaza and its immediate vicinity only. Chapter 5.28 does not control activities conducted on private property, so vending on private property would continue to be subject to the property owner's permission and underlying zoning regulations. Lastly, Chapter 5.28 creates separate permitting requirements for religious and charitable organizations and includes exemptions for specified charitable organizations. On September 17, 2018, the governor signed Senate Bill 946, which creates Government Code Sections 51036 et sec to prohibit the city from regulating sidewalk vendors other than as specifically provided. So the scope of SB 946 is limited to vendors who operate from a non-motorized conveyance and on public sidewalks or pedestrian paths. So in other words, SB 946 does not affect the city's existing food truck provisions or vending operations that take place anywhere other than a sidewalk or a pedestrian path. Neither does SB 946 affect the state's existing retail food code, which creates a uniform statewide health and sanitation standards for all retail food facilities, and that definition, retail food facility under state law, also includes sidewalk vending. SB 946 does not obligate the city to create a sidewalk vendor program. However, if the city council determines that such a program is necessary, its provisions are closely regulated by the government code, specifically sections 51038 and 51039. These sections specify that if the city wants to add any additional requirements, they must be directly related to objective health, safety, and welfare concerns. State law does not state what these are. However, it does explain that perceived community animus or economic competition do not qualify as objective health, safety, and welfare concerns. A last key component of this legislation is to decriminalize vending, making its violations strictly subject to administrative fines only. And the state requires that vending programs also account for alternatives such as reduced fines for indigent persons and the option of performing community service in lieu of paying a fine altogether. To reiterate, the city is not required to create a vending program. However, if the council so chooses, the city may delete its existing provisions and utilize state law regulations. The proposed ordinance has been drafted with the assumption that the city council would want a city-specific program in place while adhering to the guidelines provided by state law. As mentioned in further detail in the staff report, the proposed ordinance proposes eliminating the distinct requirements related to vending for religious or charitable purposes. The city attorney's office has worked closely with staff to address a number of concerns related to health, safety, and welfare, and these are also specifically addressed in the ordinance, particularly section 5.28050, and are otherwise explained in the findings section of the ordinance generally. Lastly, the ordinance proposes adding a reference to chapter 5.28 in the municipal code, section 1764030, regarding sales conducted in the city's open space zones. There is a need to regulate the sale of food and merchandise in the public right-of-way to ensure that vendors prepare food safely and according to the requirements of the Los Angeles County Department of Public Health, to prevent unsanitary conditions, to ensure trash and debris are removed by vendors, and to safeguard pedestrian movement on the sidewalk. I'm happy to answer any legal questions that you may have regarding either SB 946 or the proposed ordinance, and staff is also present to answer any specific questions that you may have regarding the health, safety, and welfare concerns addressed by the regulations in the proposed ordinance.
Okay, thank you for your presentation. As I was reading the SB 96, to me it's very alarming. I just want to paint that whole picture. It's very alarming to me because I just want to make a comment, general comment, because right now restaurants are regulated. There are inspectors who go to restaurants and they inspect them. They give them a grade of A, B, and C. And one of the first things that's crossed my mind is with this kind of regulation or SB 946. To me, it basically opened street vending. And I hope it doesn't happen. My biggest fear is epidemic. Something that, widespread disease spread by unsanitary vending cards and things like that. And you know what usually happens, if something like that happens in a community, they usually blame the city council because we are the closest to our residents. And yet, the law was passed up in Sacramento because there's no way that a resident who was injured, so to speak, by this issue will go to Sacramento. So I just want to kind of make that comment up front. So I have some questions about this new maybe you can help me on these issues. One is, when it comes to the permit, it is non-transferable, right?
That is correct.
Correct. Okay, so the permittee will apply with the city manager is designated to apply the permit, so there's going to be forms filled out. Since it's not transferable, can we require that a photo be included in the permit so that it is displayed with a cart?
Yes.
We can do that. Okay, just like cab drivers, you can see who's driving the cab. So I want to make sure that whoever's selling at the particular cart, we know that that's the person who was permitted by the city.
Yes.
Okay, so we can include that. I want that included.
Yes, we can include that as long as there is an objective health, safety, and welfare concern attached to that added regulation. Currently, what we can do is when we have the application criteria, we have certain provisions that are provided by state law that we're allowed to include, and anything in addition to that would have to be justified by an objective health, safety, and welfare concern. So if the concern is related to perhaps mistaken identity or an issue related to verifying the identity of the person who's vending the items and connecting that to who applied for the permit, then that can be a regulation that can be added.
Or a stolen cart.
Correct.
Somebody can be peddling with a stolen cart. So I think that will provide good control that person is the one who was actually permitted by the city. So, all right. Do you know if the county will be monitoring these food carts?
Yes. They will be.
And there's going to be thousands of them.
There is currently a program in place. The state retail food code provides for a specific group of individuals that have to be designated by the state who are going to operate as enforcers of the retail food code, and it's part of their job to go out and to make sure that the code is being enforced. There's a website and a hotline phone number and other resources that the city can avail itself of in order to notify the state of any issues or recurring nuisances with regard to the vending of food.
Okay. Now, from the city's perspective, are we going to have some kind of a monitoring program? Some kind of a spot check to make sure that a cart is permitted? Is it going to be part of our procedures?
If that's the council's desire, we can do that.
I would say that at random, I think we should be checking, unless it's reported by a resident, somebody calling, they suspect that a particular cart is not permitted. So I'd like to have some kind of a random check to make sure that the permit is verified. Okay. Now, the other thing is on the, as far as the fines being imposed on section 5.2807 of violations and penalties. So you have the administrative fine for $100 for the first violation, $200 for the second violation, and then $500 for the third and subsequent violations. So what is the consequence of not having a permit? So if a vendor has no permit, what's our right, what's the consequence that we can impose on the vendor if the vendor has no permit?
Fine only.
Fine only. So $100 on the first offense. So if he or she continues to vend without a permit, so $200. And is there any point that we can confiscate the cart?
There are limited circumstances. For instance, if the cart is left unattended, if it's attached to any type of city infrastructure, if it encroaches on a public right-of-way and has been unattended for a certain period of time. Otherwise, the only violation, and this was a key component of SB 946, is to impose an administrative fine only and to decriminalize this conduct. So confiscation would only be in connection to really some type of a criminal activity.
So the person can be vending illegally or unpermitted many, many times, and still we don't have the right to confiscate the cart. It's not going to happen.
No longer under state law.
Don't pay the fines.
If they don't pay the fines, then there are other alternatives that the city can take in terms of requesting that the violator adhere to certain civil requirements in terms of paying the city back, or attaching some type of civil penalty. But in terms of confiscating the cart, that's no longer an option.
So the only times that we can confiscate the cart is if it's left unattended, it is chained to a post. That's the only circumstance we can confiscate the cart. Other than that, they can vend, they can violate the ordinance as many times as they wish to, as long as they pay the fine of $500 after the second offense.
Yes.
I can see a big problem here. Okay, that's all my questions for now. Any other question for
I just have a comment.
Mr. Dunn?
In the state's wisdom, they took all our conditional use permits and ordinances away when they said massage parlors were unregulated. And about 10 years after that, give or take a few years, they said, oh, this is a wrong idea. Give it back to the cities, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And I can just see a rerun on this.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Yes,
Samada?
yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you. In regards to the liability insurance, what's the amount that they need to be covered? Is that a standard amount, just like typical, look at encroachment, permit type of insurance? Is it $1 million? All right, standard, okay.
Right.
So that's not going to be cheap, you know, kind of thing.
What's the amount? Is that what you were asking?
Yeah, 1 million.
$1 million.
Is that what
Okay.
I kind of heard it?
I didn't hear it.
Oh, I'm sorry, there was a whisper, but will they be required to offer receipts with every transaction? Or is it cash there, cash back, and would somebody ask for a receipt, or are they going to be required to provide receipts for any transaction?
Currently, there are no transaction requirements.
No, nothing, so, all right. There went the taxes.
Well, I don't think there's taxes on food anyway.
Yeah, well, but there's other things. Now, they can
Prepared food, yeah.
prepare, yeah.
You expect
that.
to receive that?
But there could be other, flowers, toys, they could also vend,
That is correct.
Yeah,
They can
so-
also vend merchandise.
yeah. So the other one, my last question is, staff, what do we envision is our city's carrying capacity? I mean, how many permits, as the mayor indicated, there's going to be probably thousands. You don't think that many?
Not in Bellflower.
Oh, okay, not in Bellflower, I think. Hundreds.
But I think in terms of countywide, I think it's going to be in the thousands.
Oh, tens of thousands. Yes. All right. Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Yeah.
You have additional comments? Come on, go ahead.
Sorry.
Spit it out, come on.
It just, I look at this, you need $1 million of insurance or whatever, so I can see a business, saying, I'm gonna have, put out 500 carts to one business, he only has to have that one policy for the 1 million, because he has a blanket liability on it. On the other hand, you have to have the minimum wage is going up. So all these people are gonna get, they gotta sell a lot of stuff for the minimum wage, there's just that little cart, it's $15 an hour. Be interesting if that's upheld. Yeah, sounds like there's gonna be a lot of books to be fudged, but that's it, that's my comment.
Okay.
Just a quick comment that last year when this thing was going through the whole legislative process, the cities really pushed back against this. And the legislature, with its wisdom, decided this one.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor.
We'd like to hear from,
I'm sorry,
City
Mr. Mayor,
Attorney? Yes, go
members of the
ahead.
council, I do have 2 corrections, just based upon the council's discussion. If I may, under section 5.28.040, with regard to applications for a permit, under subsection A3, I would add in current photo. So it would read the name, telephone number, current photo, and current mailing address of the sidewalk vendor, so that we make sure that we have a current photo. And then under section 5.28.070, subsection B, that sentence has a clerical error in it. It should read, any person engaged in sidewalk vending, solicitation, or peddling must prominently display its permit. So with those 2 corrections, I'm happy to allow Mr. Larson to
Okay, good. All
offer
right.
his comment.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Larson.
Imagine my surprise that the state thinks it knows better than what we do. Couple of quick comments. What about a sales tax permit? Because I think much of this is going to be sales taxable. And so wouldn't they be required to have a permit from the State Board of Equalization or whatever their new State Board of Equalization is in the State Board of Equalization?
I believe it's required. It's one of those things on the checklist, I believe.
Somebody's nodding their head yes over there.
Yeah, it's currently in the proposed section 5.28040.
And can that be required to be posted along with their picture and number under their?
That's a state law, right? They need to post that permit, seller's permit, at the place of business.
I would think so. That's just what I'm thinking is you guys ought to be thinking about is, if they're gonna do this, we should be getting our sales tax out of it. And if they do that, you gotta have a sales tax permit and they should be displaying it like the others, so
Okay, can we add that? Because it's a state requirement anyway.
Yeah, it says proof, but we could add display, proof and prompt display of valid.
resale permit.
Yeah, wherever he just took the language with.
And, you know, it says in there, oh yeah, the county's gonna take care of policing a lot of this. Well, and I'm not really comparing apples to apples here, but in reality, the county's also responsible for law enforcement and the sheriff's department. Well, the only way we can get, and I think we get great service from the sheriff's department, but we pay them millions and millions of dollars to do something that technically they're supposed to be doing anyway. So I think you'll end up with the same thing here, is that they're gonna say, yeah, we have a program and we visit 10 or 15 sites every day out of thousands of them, and we really won't be getting much of a service from the county as far as policing this. And so I'm dismayed but not surprised.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Peter, it's now your turn.
Are we gonna have a limit on the size of the vending thing? Is it gonna be only 4 feet wide or things, or no?
The only limit's placed on the room that's outside the public area. They have to allow for ADA access on the sidewalk,
That's
so
what I was looking for, they're gonna be so big.
so they'll be big enough.
Wheelchairs are not gonna be able to.
They won't be very big because they have to allow for the smaller sidewalks, get the ADA accessibility there. Otherwise, there's no limits on the size of this.
Yeah, that's what I was also, are we gonna prevent people from stopping the car in that one lane just to get food, or they have to get out of the car and park it before? Because that could be a problem. Everybody's stopping and now you don't have one.
Well, you
lane.
moved them off the corners, right? You have them moved off driveways and corners, so it's not gonna be convenient for somebody to stop and get that stuff.
So they're not gonna be able to stop and, pick, get at the food? Because I know there's one vending right next to my house now. Somebody's now doing it, so.
There's a distancing requirement imposed in the proposed ordinance that would require that the carts be placed a certain distance from curbs and intersections and driveway aprons.
Okay. That doesn't mean somebody can stop and just, they can't give them,
You-
go to them and give them food.
You can't stop bad manners, but you can certainly try to regulate against them, and obviously, if somebody's blocking traffic doing so, that'd be a traffic violation. We'll try to enforce it that way.
So that would put business recycling down also. How many can be in any one block? Because let's say from Lakewood to Clark, how many can be, is it just every so much, or can we regulate maybe 1 or 2 within that certain area?
The only distancing requirements that are imposed are those set by the ADA.
Okay, but nothing as far as how many per block?
We cannot limit per number unless it's related to an objective health, safety, and welfare concern. So if something crops up in the future and it becomes an issue, we might be able to limit the number in the future, but currently, there's no limit.
So that, the guy, I remember a couple of years ago, there was that guy right next to the DMV, so I guess now he can go back to sell. Remember, we're gonna phase out a couple of them, and all of a sudden they come back with this. So now they can come back actually, near the DMV and near the, remember 2 years ago?
Yeah, but he was the only one who was authorized by the city,
Yeah,
if you recall correctly. Because we revoked all the,
Yeah.
no, there used to be 2, but the other one expired, the one near Union Bank.
Timed out.
That expired in December of about a year ago.
yeah, and you said.
So the only one left was in front of the DMV because he was grandfathered. He was the original.
We gave him lifetime, wasn't it?
Right, exactly. As long as he can sell, the permit is his, but he cannot sell the business.
Didn't you say like they had another 2 more years before he had to go away or something?
No,
No, that was the one.
not that one. That one is his lifetime, as long as he lives and he can sell.
Okay, thank you very much.
He may be dead, though.
He retired.
He retired.
He's one of my customers.
All right, anyone else? Mr. Taylor,
Good evening.
good evening.
Just have a question. Is there any distance requirement in the law regarding the distance they need to maintain from existing food establishments? Or can they literally park themselves right outside the door?
All right,
The only distancing requirements would be those imposed by the ADA and for safety.
So no is the answer. They can be right outside the door.
they can.
Yes, they can park right outside.
Thank you.
Yeah, but not on private property. Right. No, correct,
And just,
Okay.
Mayor, can I make a comment?
Yes, Mr.
This is
Go
the
ahead.
public, and it doesn't, this does not handle the ones that are illegal. If you're a mobile cart, your mobile going down the streets, just rolling it down the streets, this is not what we're talking about, because those are illegal. You have to park it under somewhere. You just can't be selling on the middle of the street.
You
The
can-
ones that are like a wheelbarrow, they kind of go down the street.
But you can be rolling your cart on a sidewalk. You can be pushing it.
That is correct. The distinction I think Councilmember Denton is trying to make is that this is for non-motorized vehicles on the sidewalk only. If they're operating in the street, then they have to adhere to the vehicle code, and I believe most of them are prohibited from operating a non-motorized vehicle in the street.
What I'm saying is there's some that go down certain residential streets that don't have sidewalks, and they have a bell that ding, 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 ding.
Right, especially
Come
ice
under their
cream.
house, yeah.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Okay. I have one more question on, can you explain on 5.28.050 letter M in terms of the distance within approved toilet and hand washing facility? Can you explain that provision?
Sure. So this is a provision that is enforced currently by the state's retail food code. And what the retail food code requires is that any vendor who is proposing to sell food must operate within 200 feet of an approved and readily available toilet and hand washing facility. And this goes back to your preservation of health and safety and sanitation concerns that you brought up at the beginning of the item. And so what that would require is either that the facility itself have some type of hand washing or toilet system, the vending cart, or that they collaborate with someone who has a toilet or hand washing facility that they can use, or the utilization of public toilet or hand washing facilities.
So within 200 feet. So for example, if there's a long sidewalk and there's no, does it be open to the public in terms of the toilet and hand washing facility?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Are we allowed to ask what the relationship is?
Yes.
So they need to ask permission from the establishment?
If
to
it's a
be-
private establishment, yes, they'd have
Right.
to ask permission. However, let's say there's a public park, and if they were operating within 200 feet of the restroom at the public park, then that would be the hand washing and toilet facility.
Okay, but for example, let's say someone is operating along the boulevard, and the closest toilet and hand washing facility is, let's say, a restaurant. So they need to ask permission from the owner to be able to wash there. So that basically, in a way, precludes them, because most likely the owner will say no. That's a competition.
Sure.
Okay. So at least there's something there that kind of, there's a little there, there's a little. So I found a gold mine. I know, but at least there's something there that will kind of prevent them, because otherwise it's going to be wild, wild west. That's what I'm afraid of.
Oh, it will be, yeah.
Okay. All right. Mr. Sanchez,
Good evening, Mayor. and
good evening.
Actually, that last conversation brings up another question for me. Are they required to have food handling gloves? I'm just saying. I don't know if they're gonna be inspected. I haven't read the whole entire law, and I'm sure it's probably in there, and I hope it's in there, but if it's not, is that something that we can require? I think that's a health concern.
So that would be governed by the Health and Safety Code.
Okay.
And it's regulated by the state's retail food code, whether or not they're required to have food handling gloves or whether having a hand washing facility is sufficient. It would depend on the type of vending that they're engaging in.
Okay, so, well, of course, if they're selling toys, you don't need food handling gloves, but if they're selling food, things of that nature, going back to your concern, spreading the disease, most of these vendors usually don't have food handling gloves.
And to add to your point, there is also a requirement that the vendor obtain a food handling certificate from the state.
Right.
Good to know. Going back to making sure it's not the Wild Wild West. So anyways, thank you. Thank you,
All right.
Mayor and Councilmember.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor,
Mr. Coops?
is there any restrictions of hours of operation?
Whatever the normal hours of operation are for other businesses within the same vicinity.
All right, so if I'm near a 24-hour service station, I can have my food vending operation near that for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, just like the station does, correct?
Theoretically, yes.
Thank you.
And there's also a minor restriction in terms of hours near a school.
That is correct. There's also distancing and hour requirements related to vending operations that occur near a school.
Okay. Okay. Any other questions, comments? Okay. This is a tough one. I mean, I'm just very concerned about the consequence of this law on the city.
But remember,
But
if-
correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Just one comment here. If we don't do anything, it could be worse.
It'll be worse.
Okay.
The state code will hold sway, and you'll be under those guidelines. So
Right.
you're doing as much as you can, although it probably isn't enough,
Yeah.
in truth.
Mr. Mayor, we never had these kinds of problems when Dutton was mayor.
Well, let me correct that. The SB 946 was passed during his term as mayor.
Yeah, we didn't want,
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. All right, gentlemen, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Mayor, members of the council,
Oh,
just one other
City
thing.
Attorney.
Based upon the discussion about display of permits, the section that I previously noted needed a correction. That's section number 5.28.070, subsection B, should read as follows. Any person engaged in sidewalk vending, solicitation, or peddling must prominently display all of its permits. That will take care of business
seller's
license
permits
permit,
too.
seller's
Okay.
permit, and sidewalk vending permit.
Okay, that's a good point. Okay,
Hey, Mayor?
yes,
Um,
Councilmember Dutton.
Yeah. The vending sidewalk ordinance, I'd like to waive further reading and introduce ordinance number 1368. 1368 as amended, or not as amended, but as discussed here tonight.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Dunn and seconded by Councilmember Hamada to introduce ordinance number 1368.
Mr. Mayor, what about your photo deal? Are we going to?
Yeah, it's part of the.
Is that going to be part of it?
Yeah.
Because that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's
sir,
why I said as
That's
discussed.
section 5.28.040, subsection A3. We added in a current photo.
Okay, thank you. Any other comment? Okay, roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Garza,
Aye.
Councilmember Dutton,
Aye.
Councilmember Amata,
Aye.
Councilmember Coops,
Aye.
Mayor Santenaz.
Aye. All right, next item, under consideration items, item 10A. Mr. Stewart.
This is consideration and possible action to adopt resolution number 19-01, a resolution withdrawing the city's membership from Orange Line Development Authority, AKA Eco Rapid Transit, Joint Powers Agreement, and authorizing the city manager to take all reasonable actions to implement such withdrawal. As the council has been aware, we've been reevaluating our relationship with Eco Rapid over the last several months, and Mr. Ree has a short presentation which shows the finances and history of the organization.
Mr. Ree, good
Thank
evening.
you. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council. As a way of background, in June of 2003, the City of Bellflower joined Orange Line Development Authority, also known as ORDA or Eco Rapid Transit, for the development of a passenger rail line on the West Santana branch. Since then, Eco Rapid was successful in achieving this goal. When West Santana Branch Light Rail project was approved and preliminarily funded by Metro for completion by year 2028. However, Eco Rapid now has extremely limited role with respect to this project. This is because the cities along the route, including Bellflower, are now working directly with Metro to coordinate the project. And this is exactly what's happening with our planning department with their preparation of the TOD specific plan, working directly with Metro. Because of the extremely limited role of Eco Rapid at the present time and also the foreseeable future, staff is recommending that the city withdraw from Eco Rapid with a 30-day written notice pursuant to the JPA agreement. With respect to the timing of the 30-day written notice, our recommendation is to withdraw be effective only after the city receives full loan repayments from Eco Rapid. Currently, we are owed $41,619 from Eco Rapid under MOU number 19.3. This city's loan is secured by a Metro grant allocated to Eco Rapid, and it is expected to be repaid in about 1 to 2 months. Gateway City's COG administers this particular Metro grant and disperses the grant funds to the city as loan repayments. In terms of the fiscal impact, if the city withdraws from Eco Rapid, there will be annual savings in membership dues of about $23,000. And city will no longer provide financial services to Eco Rapid. This means no more reimbursement of $1,000 per month for city staff time from Eco Rapid. However, there will be corresponding city staff time savings. Our recommendation to the City Council is to adopt Resolution number 19-01 to withdraw the city from Eco Rapid after the city's loan is fully repaid by Eco Rapid, or alternatively discuss and take other action related to this item. If approved, the resolution authorizes the city manager to take all reasonable action that may be required to implement the city's withdrawal. This concludes my report, and staff's available for any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ree. Can you put back the first slide in terms of the number of members? So currently there are 13 members. When we started with all how many members were there? Do you recall? Does anyone recall?
I'm not quite sure, but there were 2 members who withdrew from Eco Rapid.
From the beginning?
Cerritos and Santa Clarita.
Santa Clarita, okay, all right. The second question is, can you explain this, although it seems like there's no impact, just want to kind of understand, there is a remaining loan commitment of $150,099.
Right. We enter into 3 separate MOUs to provide temporary loan to Eco Rapid because they have cash flow issues. But those loans were secured by the Metro grants.
Okay.
And there's still outstanding commitment, but that commitment is currently frozen.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically there's no commitment anymore.
Correct.
Okay. So I'm gonna go direct to the point in terms of the proposal here. My question to the staff is, basically, what is the downside if we withdraw? What do we lose?
Potentially, you could lose some advocacy, and maybe strengthen numbers if you're advocating for something that may be going the wrong way, but staff has looked at this and analyzed it for the last several months, and I'm not sure that's a tremendous risk at this point. It's always been safety in numbers, but with Metro taking the lead on this train, they're going to build it. They're going to build it the way Metro builds a train. We can have some influence, and we hope to have some influence over the TOD development that goes on outside the train stations. And I guess that's why when we're looking at Eco Rapid and Olda, we're not certain how much influence they can help us with that. And that seems to be the number one problem that we have, is how we're going to influence the TOD going around the station. So it's difficult to answer your question. I suppose if our relationship turns sour with Metro, we can certainly use the safety and strength in numbers of Eco Rapid and Olda, but as long as the relationship with Metro is convivial, and as long as everybody's making progress on building this line, getting this line constructed, at least the first leg by 2028, I think that the role of Eco Rapid in the future is a diminished one.
So I'm just trying to weigh, because from the staff report, the benefit to me, it's shown here, is the $22,000 a year in savings. So I'm just trying to weigh that in terms of what could we potentially lose if we withdraw from Eco Rapid. So the follow-up question is it worth the risk? Is the money worth, basically is $20,000 worth the advocacy that we could gain through Eco Rapid?
It's not that the $22,000 is crippling in and of itself as far as the fees. It's not. The issue is what we get for the money. And going forward, it's getting more difficult to see what we gain long-term in assistance from Olda and Eco Rapid. And it just looks like, I mean, from one perspective, it just seems that we're paying fees to remain a member of an organization that probably doesn't have a big role in the future of this train.
Okay.
That's what the bottom line is.
So that's bottom line. Okay, all right. Any Mr. Garza,
Mr.
Mayor
Mayor.
Pro Tem Garza.
Yeah, not a problem. Thank you for the opportunity. And I'm going to make some comments that I think may address some of the things that were asked right now. But I think as most people in the room know and my colleagues know, I'm the official Eco Rapid delegate for our city. I've been appointed by a couple mayors. Scott Larson is I followed him. He used to be a primary delegate. He's the alternate now. So I have to, since I made this recommendation with staff, I can tell you that it's not a point that I got to easily. Knowing that the long-term established relationship that Eco Rapid and Bellflower have had, and especially Bellflower's role within Eco Rapid, it's a point that took me, frankly, a long time for me to say, you know what, this is the time where I think I need to bring this before my colleagues for consideration. So just know that it took a while. One of the things that I took into consideration is that I think we in government at times have a challenge knowing what to do with something once that task has been met, right? Government is known for that. You have programs meet their objective, then what do you do with this program? And a lot of times in government, there's this reaction to have it continue going, right? And I think that's the crossroads where we're at with Eco Rapid. I can't speak for Eco Rapid. I can certainly, as your representative of Eco Rapid, I can give you my recommendation. So I think we're at the risk at that point where if we continue down this road, it's a program that met its objective, and now it's not a good place to continue to be a part of something that frankly has done its job. So originally, to the staff report, Eco Rapid was created to build this line. That's what it was created for. If you read the language for the Joint Powers Agreement, it was created to build this line. Since then, 3 years of progress on this project, it's acknowledged and accepted that Metro is going to be the one building this line. They're going to build it. We're not. Eco Rapid's not going to build it. So if you look at the agreement, you look at the language of what created Eco Rapid, its objective, frankly, has been met, which was to build a line. So now Eco Rapid finds itself in a crossroads of, okay, we were created to do this. We're not going to do it. Metro's going to do it now. So now what are we? And that's a good question. And I think within Eco Rapid, that's a question that's been asked. What are we and what are we going to become? And so my recommendation or my point tonight is Eco Rapid can continue down that road. There's nothing against Eco Rapid as an organization, but Bellflower has a choice, right? Do we continue to invest this money with an outcome that's uncertain, with no clear objectives? And I think as a public official, I have a challenge with that, of continuing to invest our residents' money in an effort that has no clear defined goals now. And it's looking for a problem to fix. So we did consider some things within Eco Rapid. We undertook a strategic planning session a month ago, roughly. Each one of the solutions that was proposed as we can become this, frankly, will infringe on city's jurisdictional authority. So we as a city would have to, in some ways, give up some of our land use authority onto Eco Rapid, or our taxing ability, our tax increment ability onto Eco Rapid. And frankly, I don't think that in the long run, that's what cities would want to do. I don't know that that's what we want to do, is say, you know what, we will give this portion of our decision-making authority onto Eco Rapid and cede that to them. I don't see that happening. And so because Eco Rapid is in this phase of being transformative internally and trying to figure out what it's going to do, I think this is the optimal time for Bellflower to respect Eco Rapid and say, that's fine, you can continue with what you're going, but we, because of the unclear defined objectives, I think this is the perfect time for Bellflower to step away and say, you know what, the objective was met. Thank you, and move on. As was mentioned before, Bellflower would not be the first city to leave Eco Rapid. There's been other cities that have left for a variety of reasons. You know, I, as somebody who's been a leader with this effort in the last year and a half, at all levels, at the federal level, state level, local level, regional level, working with Metro, working with our sister cities that are part of this right-of-way, we'll still continue to work with them. We're not going away. We're along this right-of-way. We are not going anywhere, you know. As if you continue to delegate this task, I will continue to work with all stakeholders on this, with Eco Rapid, with the sister cities in Eco Rapid. But again, Eco Rapid has a choice. I mean, Bellflower has a choice, right? And I think to continue to pay these fees in the spirit of having just a relationship with our cities, I think as a public official, I have a challenge with. So what I propose is that, again, I don't think there's anything wrong with asking, do we as Bellflower want to continue to be a part of this effort? What do we gain? What are we gaining from this? And frankly, we've been a leader in this. We have relationships with Metro, direct relationships. We are already working directly with Metro. The amount of resources that we benefit from Eco Rapid are not there, frankly. I think we can get this done on our own. And when I look at how much we pay compared to what we pay other associations that we're a part of, this one's at the high end. And I think there's better resources or better efforts that we can use these funds with. So, so again, just know that that's a background, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have, as well as staff. So.
Okay, thank you. Any comments?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Councilmember Hamada.
Again, first off, I'm a fan of you know, collaborative efforts, and I've worked in these types of situations, and but there was always a constant working that you need to, remember, you know, fine tune it, you know, figure out what's next, work the finances, again, develop teams, definitely maintain relationships. And again, as a new guy on the block here, I did take the time to look at the route and on a map, and you know, trying to, you know, figure out the cities that are affected, and I saw all the listings. But the one thing that just, you know, puzzled me was, why not the city of LA in this? And probably maybe it's because it's so huge, they didn't want to you know, participate. They think it's going to come anyway. So, but I've always wondered about that. And you know, it's been 15 plus years later, and my understanding that again, LA has not been officially in this, but that happened. And then I just learned that there's been some cities that have stepped out also. So also in part of my research, and again, looking at the administration of it, and I've always wondered, was there ever any consideration to refine what Eco Rapid Transit would do? Because again, as mentioned, there's going to be station development, there's going to be TOD around it, parking requirements, you know, bus line connections, and also down the road, there's going to be some sort of maybe transportation yard that's going to be built. And I've seen that happen up in San Gabriel Valley, and definitely that was a battle, but obviously there's a city that may say, okay, yeah, we're happy to have it. But most cities may not want to deal with the impacts. But there's been a long history here, and I'm seeing that you know, things have eventually been you know, successful. We are going to have some kind of line here. So, but still wondering about the financial aspects of this, and again, maybe I've, you know, trying to get more of the history on why Bellflower was loaning out money, so to help finance this whole effort. And So that, I mean, it's 15 years, so it's like, wow, okay, hopefully over time, there's some, let's take care of business, let's take care of Bellflower, you know, they don't have to deal with the added, you know, financial burden, and so on. So, like I said, I'm all for, you know, again, you know, working together, and I think I still see that there's, obviously there's that purpose to eventually, you know, build a line throughout the county, but I just see us getting more busy on, again, some of the things I mentioned, you know, again, station development, what's going to be around it, the planning of it, the parking required for it, you know, bus line connections, again, working with the Metro there. So I see a lot of more Metro work than working with trying to extend the line. I believe it's going to happen. It's done in phases. So I see it in place, ready to move forward. Yet I think once it starts going, then all the cities are going to have to, again, start figuring out what they're going to be doing within their town, and again, how to, you know, plan it out, and hopefully make it all work. And so I see more JPAs coming down the road. And somehow I think, somehow it needs to be organized, so it's not just all scattered up and then, you know, pieced together. I think it's somehow it's got to be placed under a single effort that hopefully can, you know, deal with all this. But because I actually see, you know, staffing issues, more assignments. That's okay. You know, we're happy to serve. So. Again, I think we're ready to rock and roll on the things that are going to be being developed in this town around that station. So it's more so comments, and I think I got some of my questions answered. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Any other comment?
Mr. Mayor?
Mr. Coops?
Mr. Tay, Ray, I've got a question for you. Is the relationship that you described exclusive to Eco Rapid in terms of the lending of money and the forwarding of money? Is that something that we do with other entities, or is this just one of theirs?
You're right, it's exclusive to EcoRapid.
And has this been going on since the inception?
No, I believe about 4 years ago, or 3 or 4 years ago.
We didn't take over the finances of the organization until 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's been that way since. But it wasn't, I don't know how they ran their business before we had it, but it's been that way since we were.
So you're doing payroll for them? You're paying all their payables? You're doing the receivables? You're doing the whole package?
We cut checks, but they do the collections, receivables, and
Who does the payroll for the company?
they don't have any employees, so.
They don't have employees, okay.
Everybody's
Okay.
contract services
All right.
consultants.
But do you have to pay the stipends?
Correct.
Okay.
So we go through the warrant register process and cut all the checks.
Because I know you did it for the WIB, but there was always money in the account to provide that.
Right, they pay us upfront,
Right.
and we always have a balance. But this one, because of their cash flow issues, we enter into 3 separate MOUs, all related to West Santana branch, and then advance them the funds based on the guarantee that will be repaid with Metro grants.
I see.
And it shows that our first loan was May of 2014.
Yeah, I've got this paper that you provided here to Mr. Stewart. It said the following are the membership dues we paid. Now, when you read this, $20,150 in 2018, and then you had 1281, 4,069. Explain those fees. I know the 20,000 that are you familiar with this paper?
Those are for other agencies that we are a member of.
So this isn't all Eco Rapid?
No, no. The bottom one.
The top one is the League of California Cities,
Okay.
and then,
I thought these were all Eco Rapid expenditures.
then you got contract cities. You know, it's just a comparison of all the different ones we do.
Thank you. I see, I didn't know I didn't know all the letters at the end here. That's all right. Okay.
I had asked staff for a comparative of how much we pay in fees to different associations.
Okay, that's, I get it. Thank you for your answers.
So,
Okay.
one of the things, if you don't mind.
Well, can I just,
Yeah,
since
please.
since
Yeah,
we kind of mentioned that, I guess we need to kind of mention it in public, that the first one is the League of California Cities, right? 20,150. And then League of California Cities, LA Division, 1,281. And then membership of the California Contract Cities Association, 4,069. And then the Southern California Association of Governments, 7,553. And then the Gateway Cities COG, that's the Council of Governments, 14,050. And then the Major Corridor Study, that is a special project for COG. Again, that's the Council of Governments, $20,000. And then the Eco Rapid membership dues, $22,749. Okay. So I just want to make sure that the public knows that, since we kind of talk about the acronyms and how much we pay each agency. All right. Any other comments?
Yeah, just a quick comment in terms of the advocacy question before. Just know that, again, Bellflower has been a true leader in the advocacy effort for this project. So that's not going away. We have influence in Metro and in the Metro Board. We have the relationship, so we can activate advocacy at any point in time. Not only that, but because we have a continued relationship with our sister cities along the right-of-way, that's not going away. We all still have that continued interest in ensuring that this line continues. So whether we're a member of EcoRapid or not, those efforts will still continue. So I just wanted to put that on the record. Plus, our work through the COG is another avenue. I just want to dispel that EcoRapid is not the only avenue for us to communicate and advocate for this project. There are other avenues as well. So,
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. That being said, I'd like to invite the public for any comments.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of the
Mr.
City Council.
Kodama, good evening.
Good evening. My name is Mike Kodama. I'm the Executive Director of Eco Rapid Transit. Of course, would be happy to answer any of your questions. Before I say anything, I want to thank Director Garza for all his help. He's right in terms of we've had a lot of help from Bellflower through the years, as well as Director Larson for all his help. From our chair, from Glendale, he sends his regards too, and hope that that you do stay as part of the organization, and hope someday not only to have the West Santa Ana branch, but eventually connect to Glendale and Hollywood Burbank Airport. At the same time, if you have any specific questions, I have no direction from our board to infringe upon any local authority, land use authority, and I do follow the direction of the 13 members on these kind of issues. We look forward to working with you and continue to work with you. There are a couple of projects in play right now, the transit-oriented development here for Bellflower, but also there's a Federal Transit Administration Transit-Oriented Development Grant, and those findings are coming out, talking about the corridor and how people work together and how the cities can communicate and get things done. It is correct that we're in the environmental process right now, and we still have a ways to go, we think, until we start writing, hopefully by 2028. So if you have any other direct questions for me, I'd be happy to respond and answer them that you have. But again, most importantly, thank you, Director Garza. Thank you, Director Larson. Thank you to your city manager, who's been great to work with, as well as your finance department here. We have made the move to transfer the finance department from the city of Bellflower to another one of our members. It was originally in Vernon, and now it's in Bellflower, and we're moving that too, or making arrangements for that too. So if that helps you in terms of decision-making process, just want to let you know that's underway already. Thank you.
Can I ask some questions? Maybe you can help supplement Mr. Stewart's response to my question earlier about, from the perspective of the city, what would we lose if we step away from EcoRapid?
Well, I think that...
You heard this answer. Maybe if you can add something to it?
Sure. I think a big part of this has always been strength in numbers. There's a number of different items that still need to be done, whether we've just done the project description in environmental, and there'll be more work in the environmental. There'll be construction mitigation measures that will need to be done. There's information still to be done on public-private partnership that still needs to be done. We'll be getting design issues and then eventually into construction and then operation. This is all brand new for Metro, this concept of public-private partnership. Usually, they pay for the project as the money comes in. In this case, it's almost like they funded your house, I would like to say. So they have funding in place till 2041. They're going to be advancing that. So as a group, there's been more than one time where we've come together as a group to help each other. I think that's been very, very, very helpful as we've gone through, more than anything else.
Okay. Now, in reference to Mayor Pro Tem Garza's comments about the future of Eco Rapid, so where do you see the future of Eco Rapid?
One of our members a couple years ago said, as we were going through this and just after the measure passed, that one, we have to keep track of that through 2028 when the line's opening. But the second part of it is what he commented on was we're an economic development project all connected together by train. Communities all working together can help each other. And that direction is under discussion now in terms of from our directors on the direction that they would like to go. We're almost in two parts though. The first part is just what we're talking about the first part of the West Santa Ana branch being in play and now going through the process of design and construction. The second part though is the members in the north looking at themselves becoming phase two. Does this project eventually go from downtown Los Angeles to Glendale and the airport? Does it go south? And we don't know that in terms of our future and where Eco Rapid Transit's going.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Mr. Larson, good evening again.
Mike was being kind in some things. There is so much work left to be done, and frankly, just like Sacramento, I don't trust Metro. And there are groups inside Metro that love us because we're working on social justice type of issues and saying, gee, you're spending a crap load of money over at on the subway to the sea and in Pasadena and the Gold Line and everything else, while you're absolutely screwing the people of Southeast Los Angeles County. And some people at Metro are in favor of that, and there are others that say, yes, Eco Rapid, go in there and help us fight the fight for you guys. And we got plenty of our money in this area that goes to Metro, but they haven't been spending a whole lot of it there. And the only reason they do is because because Eco Rapid has been fighting that fight. So, as he mentioned, you know, P3 is brand new for Metro. They've never done a serious P3 project. I don't think OLDA ever intended to be the builders of this. They always knew Metro owned the line, owned the real estate. They're the ones who was gonna actually physically build it. But it's more than just the train. It's also the development around it, learning from each other. You know, yes, we have great minds in this city, and I think of that two ways. One is we're absolutely the biggest leadership position in that group. And so a lot of the other cities are gleaning and learning from what we're doing here in Bellflower. And at the same time, we pick up pieces from them as well on how we think the whole line and all the economic development around it should operate. And I don't see reasons to, you know, yeah, we may be putting in most of the planning on how to build the wheel, but, you know, I don't think they should plan for building the wheel, and Bellflower is also planning to build their economic development around the station and that type of thing. So there is a lot of synergy with everybody talking and coming up with their ideas, and truly a lot of that is coming from the leadership of Bellflower. So it's not just what does Bellflower get out of this, but what does the region and what does OLDA get from our leadership inside of that institution. In here it talks about, you know, building a system through the southeast counties. It's not that. It's not just southeast cities in County of Los Angeles. this is intended to go all the way to Santa Clarita. And the first phase really hasn't even been completely defined yet, and I think there is a great risk that they're gonna stop at the blue line. And Eco Rapid's gonna be there to say, no, no, we need much more, we need to go all the way into LA, and we need that volume of traffic going through our cities, going all the way to LA, and eventually all the way over to Santa Clarita. And have a transportation system from Santa Clarita to come visit the special attractions that we're doing on Bellflower Boulevard, not the least of which is, you know, the Fire Museum and all the other attractions we've got and working on. So I think that's important for the city of Bellflower to maintain that leadership role there. And then you look at cities like Glendale and the Burbank Airport and everything, they've been dues-paying members for many, many, many years, knowing that they're second in line, that they weren't going to be the first group to get their station. But they're there, they're attending, they're paying their dues, knowing they're second in line, and now, oh, okay, well, we think we got ours, so now we're out. Well, how would we feel if it was the other way around, and we were second in line, and we've been paying our dues, knowing we were gonna be second, and then the cities that got theirs first said, okay, we're done, sorry to you guys. That just strikes me as wrong. So I think we need to, you know, on the P3 part of it, they don't know what they're doing there. And certainly our city, other cities, other organizations that we belong to have had lots of successes in P3s, including our nice museum and the main center there. So we think OLDA has more experience in P3s with the cities that are there than Metro's got. And so I think that's important that OLDA remain in that leadership role, also in construction mitigation. So there's this whole issue of once they start this construction, how's that gonna affect the cities downtown? How's that gonna be, you know, affect the traffic patterns and the businesses that are right next to them? And if you look at the different freeway projects and the issues about construction mitigation, I think we're stronger in going to Metro as a group and saying, you know, you need to ensure this, you need to do this type of advertising, you need to help reroute this, this is where we want you to stage certain things. I think that's better as a group than trying to do it on our own. And I understand Juan's got some nice connections with a lot of these, but rather than hog those, I think we should continue the leadership role inside of OLDA. Design standards. You know, we as a group, when we push Metro, you know, and Metro's trying, they're about building this line, and they really couldn't give too much care to what the design standards are. They just want to do their thing and move on to the next project in some ritzy neighborhood. And so the design standards are something that we have to push, I believe, as a group. It's best when we're all saying, yes, you need to have this type of features in your station, and talk about, you know, whether we're going to be grade separated and those types of issues. So I don't want to leave design standards entirely in Metro's hands. As he mentioned, OLDA is taking action to have other cities take over the staffing and cash timing issues So with respect to this 40,000 and such, what happened here is there are certain grants that are given, but they will reimburse once the money is spent. Well, Olda doesn't have $50,000 or $100,000 to spend and wait. Well, we started out at 30 or 45 days, and now Metro is moving on to like 90 days to reimburse those funds. So that's where we've had to come up with some benefactor, and it's been Bellflower for a number of years now, to say, okay, we know you're gonna get the money, it's secured by these grants, so we know we're gonna get the money, and we'll go ahead and front the funds, knowing that we're getting it back. But Olda is now taking steps to have somebody else carry that water for a while. We talked about two cities that have left. City of Cerritos, when they found out that it wasn't going to be maglev, that was the only reason that they were really interested in at the time, and when it wasn't gonna be maglev, they got out right away. That was Bruce Barrows. Many of you know Bruce Barrows, and that was kind of his whole thing was maglev. And that was the biggest part for city of Santa Clarita to get out too, is that they were really hoping for maglev. And them being way out on the kind of the far end, knowing it's gonna be a long time before they get out there, that was kind of their excuse to say, okay, well, it's not gonna be maglev, then we don't wanna be part of this at the moment. I've heard some rumblings, Cerritos wants to get back in now, but I don't know that to be the truth. I know we can continue to kind of support them, but that's really not the same as having a seat at the table and being an official vote and people calling you and really relying upon your knowledge and leadership, because you're not as involved. Another thing is, as a group, we're supporting each other's cities on what qualifies for the 3% match. So they're putting up a whole bunch of costs, but the city has to match 3% of what? The dollar costs in the city.
Well, that's not been determined how they're doing it.
Yes, it's not been determined yet. So, do you want Metro to decide what that is?
We're going to decide how they're doing it.
But
We can chip away at it once it's decided.
we can chip away at it, and we think our nice parking structure should qualify for that. And each city has an idea of what they think should qualify for this 3% match. And I think we should be supporting each other and saying, yes, their blah, 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 X should qualify, and they're saying, yes, Bellflower's expenditure on certainly the parking structure or whatever else we think should qualify. And so again, as in COG or in the league or in contract cities, you know, you have certain groups that take on stronger leadership roles. Bellflower has certainly been at the forefront of the leadership of this, but everybody still supports each other. And I think Olda needs our leadership, and I think we need to continue to be part of it as well. Talked about 3% match. So I, for all those reasons, especially abandoning the cities that are in the northern area who have been patient and know that they're second in line and have been kind of counting on us to say, okay, we're out, sorry, see you later, I don't think is right. And I think there's plenty of things to be gained by staying in. And I would very strongly encourage you to not pass this resolution and to continue your support and continue your membership in the Orange Line Development Authority. And I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Yeah, I have a question with Mr. Larson. Since you're an accountant, What do you think is the reason why the assessment for EcoRapid is so high compared to the other organizations?
Well, because this is a very, very involved process. The technical parts of this require consultants that really know, like, I don't know how many of you know Karen Height and others. And they're all doing really tremendous jobs in representing the cities, but they're not all that cheap. And so, you know, the COG and the others have maybe lesser fees, but they have their costs spread over many, many, many more cities. And here we've got some, I'm not saying overpaid, they're certainly worth what they're doing, and that cost is spread over 13 cities rather than how many, what, the league's got 80? Or no, that's just the contract cities is about 80 cities or so. So these other organizations have more to draw on. We've got 13 cities, and the expenses run about 40, 50 grand a month. So.
And you mentioned about they use the consultants for planning. Can they apply for grants when it comes to planning?
Yes, yes.
And have,
About two-thirds of our budget is associated with grants that all the staff has got.
okay. And other question, how is the assessment calculated? Is it equal to all these member cities, or is it based on?
It's a factor of how much the train, the mileage that the train runs through your city.
Okay.
And another piece of whether you're getting a station or not. And it's also based on your population.
I see, okay. So it's based on different factors.
Yes,
Okay.
and LA, when we first approached the city of Los Angeles, they said, you know, at the very beginning, they said, we don't know whether, they said, you probably don't want us as the big gorilla to be there and kind of take over the whole thing, you know? And I think they're right, because as big as they are and as much money as they would have probably ended up putting in, they would have wanted to make all the decisions. And I think we worked better at the beginning. We're now really pushing hard for them to come in, and the mayor of Los Angeles is considering it very, very seriously at this point. Of course, we have strong support from the mayor of Long Beach, who's also on the Metro Board. I think even Nunez is, or the speaker, isn't he also very, very supportive of OLDA?
He's supportive of the project.
Yes.
The
Supportive
project
of
is
the
not
project.
eco-rapid. Yeah.
Yes, he's supportive of building the line. But the line, it's more about the line, there's more to it than the line. It's about working together with the development of the economic development around the line as well. And I think we can share and learn and discuss with the other cities along the route. Okay, we're doing this, so you don't have to reinvent that, or we can feed off of what you're doing there. Lots of discussions going on, like it would in any other JPA.
Okay. Any question for Mr. Larson?
Just a couple points, just,
Okay.
City of LA. Let's be frank, the City of LA has had more than enough time to join. They haven't joined. So
So you don't think that'll happen at all?
Oh, no. No, not at all. It's been years.
Is that bad?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, they're along the right of way. So they're on the board. They don't need EcoRapid, let's be honest. They have 4 seats on the Metro board. So they already have a place at the table, right? The COG. The COG is absolutely a good conduit for communication. So, and I want to reiterate that EcoRapid is not the the West Santa Ana branch. And the West Santa Ana branch is not Eco-Rapid. Those are distinct, so. A lot of the things that you brought up have merit. A lot of them are situational, though. They're what-ifs. We're not in those situations. It could happen. It's not a guarantee it would happen. And right now, anybody that's worked on projects will tell you that we're so far along in the process that this thing is going to happen. We'll still continue to be a leader. There's no question on that. We'll still continue to support the northern cities like Glendale and the airport. Why? The reason is because it's in our best interest to, because frankly, for our residents to have a direct tie to an airport is in our interest. So if Bellflower leaves Eco-Rapid, it doesn't mean that we don't want or don't support our cities. And that's something that we can clarify with them. On the P3s, again, the project is going to be built by Metro. So whether if we meaning like Eco-Rapid has an expertise in the P3s or not, it's frankly inconsequential. The one that matters having the P3 experience is Eco-Rapid. I mean, it is Metro. They're the ones that are building it. They're the ones that are actually taking that financial model into effect. The only thing that having P3 consulting or advising for Eco-Rapid would just be to inform cities. And frankly, I think that's really expensive for just to be informed. At the end of the day, we have no role in that effort. The P3 is going to be done by Metro, not by Eco-Rapid. So frankly, I think it's a misuse of funds. In terms of me, I've committed to continue working with Eco-Rapid. I've committed to continue leveraging my relationships, our city's relationships, for the benefit of our sister cities, and to work arm in arm with the Eco-Rapid and with Glendale and the Burbank. So that's not going away. Again, we have a vested interest in continuing and ensuring this project happens. In terms of the design standards, we as the city of Bellflower have talked to Metro. They've acknowledged that we have local standards, local development standards and design standards here locally, and they will respect us because we already have that direct communication going on. So again, Bellflower is ahead in this thing. We've already had these discussions, so yeah. So I just wanted to clarify those points. Again, Eco-Rapid is not the West Santa Ana branch. I just want to clarify that. It's an organization, but it's not the line, and it's not the cities. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. All right, thank you, Scott. Anyone else who would like to speak on this item?
Yeah, I have a question for you. You said we're headline, but now I read Stephanie Wiggins went somewhere else. Who's the new head of Metro? When you have new leadership, sometimes they'll just change directions. Are we still is the new head of Metro gonna be still on our side more, or is he gonna change, or she gonna change direction as far as that's going on?
No, that's a good question. So,
Because you have different leaderships, everything, and there's different agendas.
no, the CEO has not changed. Stephanie was not the CEO. So she was the number 2, I believe, of Metro, but she wasn't the number 1. The number 1's still there.
Okay, how
The
about
staff
all
is
number
intact.
2, it could have an issue also?
So Metro undertook a reorg process since she left.
Okay.
So basically, every single key director is reporting directly to Mr. Washington now.
Okay.
Yeah,
It wasn't like that before?
no.
Okay.
There was a clear number 2. Now you don't have a clear number 2.
Because that's why, well, Stephanie took a job with another
With MetroLink.
Metrolink.
Yeah. So what he created was like a chief of staff, I believe,
Yeah.
which is almost like an advisory role to him. But all directors, to my knowledge, now report directly to him.
And now he's the only one that makes those decisions? The board does?
It's a bureaucracy. It's have many layers, many different departments, but
Well, one of the layer person is gone, that's what I'm saying, that might change also. As
yeah,
to
she
how they
left,
look
but
at it, yeah.
everything else is intact, so.
Okay, thanks.
All right, thank you, Peter. Anyone else would like to speak on this item? Okay. All right, gentlemen, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Mayor, if there are no comments or questions, I'd like to recommend that the City Council adopt resolution number 1901 to withdraw the city from OLDA after the city's loan is fully repaid by OLDA.
I'll second the motion.
Motion by Mayor Pro Tem Garza, second by Councilmember Coops, to adopt resolution 19-01. Call the roll, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Garza,
Aye.
Councilmember Dunn,
Aye.
Councilmember Amata,
Aye.
Councilmember Coops,
Aye.
Mayor Santenaz.
Aye. Okay, thank you. Next item, consent calendar. Any recusals? Anyone would like to pull an item from the agenda?
Mr.
From the
Mayor,
consent calendar?
I'd like to pull 14K, not necessarily for approval, but just for informational purposes.
Okay, 14K,
Yes, sir.
all right.
I mean, 11K, sorry.
Oh, 11K.
11K. If I misspoke, my apologies. I'm sorry? Yes, that's fine, yeah. So we can vote on it and then just pull for information.
Okay, anyone else?
11E, I'm got a property conflict. I'm too close on a curb deal.
11E conflict, okay.
And Mayor, I'd like to recuse myself for a property conflict for 11U.
11U, okay. All right, and I'd like to pull item 11R for separate discussion. Let me talk about 11R first, because it might require a separate vote, just in case. I pulled 11R because I was calling on the members of the Town Center Design Review Committee, and all of them indicated to me that the committee has not met for over a year. So I just want to kind of find out from staff, from City Council, is there a need to continue this committee?
Mr. Mayor, the way it's written right now is that if it's any new development within the town center district, then it would trigger the design review committee. Now, most of the stuff that comes in is now going into our overlays, and there's a separate design committee for that. So right now, we essentially we have two separate design review committees. One's the town center. They used to review things such as signage, but we changed the code, so the only thing they need to review would be new development. If the council feels that we don't need to have that committee, then it would be reviewed in-house by our staff through potentially our development review process.
So at this point, your assessment, there's really no need
We haven't had any.
at this point
We haven't had any meetings for,
for over a year or something like that,
for
yeah.
some time.
Yeah, because back about many years ago, I was part of the Town Center Design Review Committee, and we would meet at least once a month.
And what was triggering most of those meetings were requests for new signage.
Right, okay. Okay. All right. Any comments from the council?
Yeah, this has come up more than once, and it's, and again and again, and I don't know, I can't remember what we did with it, tabled it until the next time.
No, we eliminated one committee, the Design Review Board, I think. We got away with that. I mean,
Because I remember the late Snoblegger.
That's right, I was gonna
He
say,
was
yeah.
ringing the bell to get rid of it. Why do we have that?
And the goal was to reconsider the item this year, and I suspect if he were sitting there now, you'd be getting a different motion on this.
And it just got,
I think we, I think we ought to dissolve it in memory of Ron Snoblegger.
well, it just came to light because I spoke with all the 4 members, and I asked them, about this committee, and it was unanimous. They said they haven't met for years. And so I was kind of shocked because, again, when I was a member of that committee, we met frequently.
Yeah.
How about we pull this item tonight for no consideration at all? We bring the item back for the consideration item to eliminate and/or reappoint at the time, have a full discussion next meeting.
But we can go ahead with the other commissioners because it's tied into one. Though.
Correct, just pull everything, go
Pull
ahead with the item.
pull
minus
the
that one.
RDC
Right,
section
right.
and then, all right.
Exactly, yeah.
And we can still go ahead with the 3 commissions.
That's what I would
All right.
recommend.
That was a good catch, Mayor.
All right,
I
thank you.
didn't see that coming until you brought it up. On yeah, because you had to make those phone calls.
Right, exactly. Is everyone in favor of that?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I think I served on the design review committee for about 8 years.
Oh, okay.
And it was busy at times, and then over the course, I remember, I think when I got on the plan, when I was on the plan commission, then I think there was a code amendment that we sort of reduced the types of projects. So it dropped dramatically, and then I don't remember sitting on a meeting for quite a while, yeah, so.
You are correct, and the item was discussed last
Yeah.
year. Mr. Stoppinger did ask
Yeah.
that it carry on one more year, but we take a close look at it then, and with the changeover in staff,
Yeah.
that item just went through, and Ron wasn't here to call us on it. Mr. Santinez did call us on it, so we'll bring it back next time. Yeah.
Okay, so, all right, so the consensus now is to to amend 11R to take out TCDRC from the motion. Okay? All right. Very good. Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar as amended?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Mayor Pro Tem Garza, second by Councilmember Hamada to approve the consent calendar. Roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Garza.
Aye.
Councilmember Dutton.
Aye.
Councilmember Amata.
Aye.
Councilmember Coops.
Aye.
Mayor Santinez.
Aye. And now going to item 11K, Mr. Garza.
Yes, sir. I was just hoping to ask staff to see if they could just give us a quick update and share with our community what I think is a really exciting endeavor that's going to be coming to our cities.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. The Walnut Hills is a three-quarter replica of the Vietnam Wall that's run by the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Fund. And it'll be visiting 34 cities this year. And Bellflower will be the first one of 3 in California. We'll be the only one in Los Angeles County. The other cities are Windsor and Costa Mesa. We're very excited to be a host for this very memorable event. It'll go from Thursday through Sunday. It'll run 24 hours a day. We'll be utilizing upwards of 200 volunteers for setup, takedown, as well as volunteers throughout the 24 hours, providing tours, security. It'll be placed at Sims Park, and again, it'll run for 24 hours a day. There's the replica wall, which is in a chevron shape. In addition to that, there is an educational unit and truck that'll be there, there's videos and tours and historical data. So we're very excited to be a host for the city. It was a very competitive process. The Parks and Recreation brochure will be hitting households this week, which has the general information on there. Information how to get involved will also be on the website in the coming days, as well as sponsorship opportunities for businesses, corporations that want to be involved in this very memorable event that'll be taking place to help offset the cost that the city is fronting in order to be a host city for the Walda Hills.
Okay.
I don't know what other information you may want, or.
No, Mr. Mayor, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
That's great. Thank you for that update. I just want to ensure that our community knows about this effort. I know you've been doing a good job of getting the word out. I thought this could be an opportunity to share with the viewers that see our broadcast. Just a note as a veteran, I'm truly honored that this thing is going to be coming to our city. I think it's a distinct honor. I know that Mr. Nowlin, who's in the audience, he's a veteran as well. The thing with this wall is that it's for a lot of veterans in our community, especially those that are Vietnam veterans, it's a really emotional issue for a lot of us, right? And so to have that opportunity to some of our fellow veterans that were in that war that aren't able to go to Washington, D.C. to see the actual wall, and to have it come here, not only in our city, but regionally, where we have local veterans that can come and have that emotional connection to it, I think it's really powerful. So because of that, I think it's a true honor to have in our city. So I wanted to thank staff for all their efforts in securing this. I'm really excited about it coming here, and anything that I can do to assist in the efforts, I am here to help. So thank you so much for all your work, PJ, to you and your staff.
Okay, thank you. And we'll be reaching out to all the service clubs in the city for volunteers. We've already had veterans groups coming from all over the region to contact us because they want to volunteer. So we're very excited about it.
PJ, one quick question. How many volunteer hours do you expect will be needed?
They work in groups of 4 to 6 at a time, and it's 24 hours a day. So my math is getting late in the evening.
That's a
Probably don't
lot.
have it. It is
It's a lot of hours.
And we will be reaching out to probably our high school football teams for the setup and takedowns. I think that'll be good service projects for them, and that they'll be excited to do that. And that's where we'll need the most volunteers at one time, is for the setup and takedown. And then the shifts go from, I think it's between 4 and 6 people at a time, overnight and throughout the day at the park.
What's the date for the setup?
The date for the setup, there are 2 days. It's going to be Tuesday and Wednesday of that week will be set up. We'll be having a complete schedule. And then I believe on Wednesday will be a soft opening, and actually that may be Thursday. And we'll be coordinating a small event for that, and there'll also be a closing event for that. And they'll be small. The atmosphere is low-key. It is it's somber for many, so it's not really a celebration. But there'll be definitely opportunities for people to come and pay their respects at the wall and experience it.
Wonderful. Okay, thank you so much.
PJ, will we are an active military presence as well?
I'll have to look at that, but I believe we're being connected with several groups through the foundation of active military as well as veteran groups. Yeah.
I'd be happy to assist with that as well, so, yeah.
All right, very good. All right, with that, we'll go into council agency reports. Mayor Pro Tem Garza.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. And I know there's a closed session after this, so I'll try to make this really quick. Let's see, on the 12th of December, I participated in the League of Cities LA Division's annual strategic planning session, which is a great effort. On the 13th of December, to follow up on our homeless discussion of last time, I finally got a homeless ride-along. And I wanted to thank Joe Hockman in Public Safety, and as well as our Sheriff's Department staff for showing me around in terms of the areas in our city that are hot pockets for the homeless dilemma in our city. So it was part of a learning experience for me, so I appreciate that. I know that topic is still a continuing issue for this council, and we'll tackle that in an upcoming meeting. On the 16th of December, I wanted to thank Hollywood Sports Park and the Lions, and as well as our mayor and Mr. Hamada for participating in the Christmas event that Hollywood Sports Park had that day. It was great. It was nice to see families. Just the joy of the event. On the 18th of December, I participated with Contract Cities in an official welcome for the new sheriff. It was the first time that I got an opportunity to speak with him on behalf of Bellflower. Great event. He brought all of his patrol division chiefs, and so it was good to meet him and have that conversation with him one-on-one and establish a relationship. I'm also happy with the fact that since then, the sheriff has accepted our invitation to be in the Bravo Award ceremony, so it's going to be nice for all of us to be able to meet him at that point. On the 27th of December with Kiwanis, I participated in their annual float decoration effort in Irwindale. My first time as Victor over there and Mr. Snow, and a lot of us here know, going over, and Mr. Hamada, who went there as well that day. Interesting experience. I've never done that, participating in that effort. Some of my comments I'll keep to myself, but it was a nice experience.
Did you decorate the float that caught fire? Is that?
I think it was actually worked on in the facility where we were at, so.
We'll keep it private.
And again, because of, saw some things that I'm like, two more things. On the 3rd of January, I facilitated the League of Cities LA Division's general membership meeting. We had the county registrar recorder, Dean Logan, talk to us about the upcoming voter process and with the new machines that I know you and I have seen. I'm not sure if any of the other members of our council have. Really exciting, and there are a lot of questions from the membership there for that. I know Mr. Hamada joined me for that as well. So that was a really good meeting that, again, Bellflower hosted. And then lastly, Bellflower was really, we're the only city that I think had all of our council members be a part of it during the Sacramento Legislative Outreach Tour that we did this past week. I felt that our membership was really invigorated. It was a good effort en masse going to Sacramento to present our position. And so I wanted to thank all of you for that support. You all did great. I want to thank Mr. Stewart and Ms. Stover as well for the support on that. So that completes my comments, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Garza. Councilmember Hamada.
I just, again, wanted to add to that list. Last Thursday, January 10th, I had the pleasure to attend the grand opening of the new office for Supervisor Hahn. So I did have the opportunity to present our certificate to her, and then had a chat with her to just say we wish her well, and sorry to see her leaving Bellflower and, you know, making that easy trip across the parking lot. But I told her, at least my personal preference was not to keep walking through that security system there at the courthouse. So she enjoyed, it was quite well attended. It was a packed house, actually. So her office was fully, it was shoulder to shoulder. We had some great opportunities with the other cities to have some fun and, you know, point out our support for her. And again, it's easy access. So anybody who wants to go to the supervisor's office, you can, again, it's at 11911, and that's Artesia Boulevard in the city of Cerritos. And you don't have to go through a security system. So you can go to either side of the opening of this office building, and she's on the first floor. So just an awesome new location, but again, sorry to see her staff go, because they are, again, they work very well with us. So again, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you. Let me go back to Mayor Pro Tem Garza. I think you have one. No problem.
My apologies, Mr. Mayor. I'm still learning after being here for 3 years still. Because I know when we go to closed session, the audience may not be here. I would like this evening's meeting to be adjourned in memory of longtime Bellflower resident and my good neighbor, Charles Creighton. Charles was born on February 20, 1922, and passed away on December 28, 2018, at the age of 96. After graduating with a journalism degree from the University of Texas, Charles served as a lieutenant in the U.S. Navy during World War II. Assigned to attack/transport ships, the young lieutenant participated in the initial invasions of southern Italy and landed troops onto the beaches of Saipan, Iwo Jima, and Okinawa. Following the war, Charles headed to California, as so many other servicemen did. Settling in Los Angeles, he found work as an usher at various sports venues and later as a driver's license examiner by the Department of Motor Vehicles. In 1960, he moved to Felsen Street with his wife Frances and 4 children. They purchased a home in a new housing tract in Bellflower. The neighborhood built upon that land that only months earlier was dairy pasture land. In fact, directly across from their new home, there was still a working dairy. The herd of cows, a milking barn, bottling building, haystacks, and a drive-through dairy were a nostalgic reminder of Bellflower's rich history. Midway through his career, Charles was elected president of the Motor Vehicle Managers Association. His career with the DMV spanned 30 years, and he worked at the Bellflower office for 13 years before retiring in 1980. Charles and Frances were proud that their 4 children were raised, schooled, and employed here in Bellflower. Charles was preceded in death by his wife of 60 years, Frances, who passed away in 2014 at the age of 94. Charles is survived by his 4 children and their spouses, Rick Creighton, Susan Creighton, Don Creighton, and Ann Van Ips. 7 grandchildren, 2 great-grandchildren, and his devoted caregiver. Our deepest sympathies and heartfelt condolences go out to the entire Creighton family. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Garza. Councilmember Coops.
Just to show how old I was, I worked at the dairy that you just described in 1965.
No, he's a legend in our neighborhood. So.
All right, so I would like to also adjourn in memory of someone who passed away, notable realtor Bruce T. Mulhern. Bruce Mulhern was born October 13, 1938, in Newcastle upon Tyne in England. He passed away on Wednesday, December 26th at the age of 80. Bruce Mulhern, who started in a small office here in Bellflower 52 years ago, became a dominant figure in the Southern California real estate industry. He was a graduate of the University of Durham in England, and after a variety of jobs in England and Australia, he came to the United States in 1958, and he obtained his real estate license in 1960. Mulhern and his wife, Tasmania, started their own real estate firm, Bruce Mulhern Realty, in Bellflower in 1967. They evolved into Mulhern Gallery of Homes, Prudential California Realty, and finally Berkshire Hathaway Home Services of California, which has become one of the fastest growing real estate companies in the state. The firm is ranked as one of the top 100 real estate companies in North America with nearly $1.5 billion in combined sales. Bruce died at his home in Bay Harbor, Long Beach, from complications from pulmonary lung disease, which he had struggled with for the past 11 years. He's survived by his wife, Tasmania, 3 children, 10 grandchildren, and 1 great-grandchild. Our deepest sympathies and heartfelt condolences go out to the entire Mulhern family. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Coops. Councilmember Dunn.
I'd just like to thank all my colleagues and people and everybody that came to my outgoing mayor ceremony here tonight, and I had a real good time, and it's quite humbling that people recognize what you do. And I really appreciate all the nice things that were said to me and the awards that were given me. And I just makes me want to work even harder for Bellflower. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Dunn, and I can tell you that you deserve the recognition. Thank you for all the work that you did. I just want to add a couple of comments to Mayor Pro Tem Garza's comment about the legislative tour. We met with our legislators, State Senator Bob Archuleta and Assemblymember Cristina Garcia, together with other legislators from other areas. We were assigned in different teams, so we had a chance to talk with them, and those meetings were very productive. In December, I just want to kind of comment on the employee recognition. We recognize our employees, and also I want to do a shout out to Kimberly Gonzalez, who was recognized as the Employee of the Year. She works in Public Works Department. And also we saw the retirement of 2 long-term employees, Valerie Torres in the Public Safety Department and Darlene Sarti from the Finance Department. Okay, next item is closed session. Mr. Stewart?
We have one item tonight, sir, and it is conference with legal counsel, threat of litigation, Government Code Section 54956.9D2, number of cases 1.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, this meeting went a whole lot better than the last one, didn't it?
Okay, moving along.
Mr. Mayor, if you
Mayor
know,
Pro Tem Garza,
I'd like to
I think you have something to say.
not about, I'd like to recuse myself out of item 13A due to a work-client relationship that I have
Okay.
conflict.
You're going in the right direction, Mr. Mayor.
Let the record reflect that Mayor Pro Tem Garza is recusing himself on item 13A. Any other recusals? All right, so just for the benefit of the public, we are going to close to close session. And after that, we're going to come back. If you want to wait, you're welcome to wait. But when we come back and reconvene, and then when we adjourn, we will adjourn this meeting in memory of Charles William Creighton and in memory also of Bruce T. Mulhern.
There'll be no cameras running. The TV will shut down after this section.
I know. So, all right. So you're welcome to wait. If not, then we're going to recess into closed session.